All right, welcome to our first lesson, Math 10C students, on 5.1, which is representing relations. As a reminder, if you have printed these notes off, you can highlight and write in them as you go. If you do not have access to a printer, that's not a problem. You can be recording the important information down on some loose leaf paper or on a notebook. All right, so three very important terms that you should know what they mean as we go through the rest of this chapter on relations and functions. The first one is a set. So a set is a collection of objects. So in the example shown below, we have two sets shown. We have a set of athletes and we have a set of sports. So again, collections of objects. The next term you should know is an element. So an element is a set of one object within the set. So again, in this case, an element of the athlete set would be Jennifer Jones. An example of an element within the sports set could be curling. So again, an element is just one of those objects within the set. The last term you should know is a relation. So a relation associates the elements of one set with the elements of another set. So in this case, if we look at the relationship between the athlete set shown on the left and the sports set shown on the right, our relation of these could be that the people or the athletes on the left-hand side take part in the sports on the right-hand side. So that's how we could describe that relationship in words, as was asked by the question. So we could say that they take part in or they participate in. Now, another way to show relations is through sets of ordered pairs. So again, we're just going to take the first element in set number 1, write a comma, and then we show it with the first element in set number 2. So there's some examples here shown below of how they are written as ordered pairs. So again, you'll notice that each of the athletes are matched up with their respective sport. Another way that we can represent this is by using something called an arrow diagram. So in our arrow diagram, on the left-hand side, we can use ovals, circles, or a big rectangle, whatever works best for you to write these down in. We're going to write all of the things in our first set on the left-hand side, and then everything for our set on the right-hand side. Okay, so again, you'll notice that that order that was kept in the chart is still shown. We're also going to have an arrow showing takes part in. So this, we're going to write whatever the relationship between these two sets is. You'll also notice that in this case, as these were written here, they were copied down in alphabetical order. So generally speaking, when we use an arrow diagram, we're going to be writing these down in alphabetical or numerical order, okay, whichever one is shown. So if you flip your page, there's an example here for you to try on your own. So you can either pause the video at this point and do the check, or you can try it later on, but I would like you to try that. I will be posting the answer key as well for everything from this except for the summative assessments so that you can correct your own as we would do it in class. All right, example number 2 shown here, another way that we can represent a relationship is through the use of a bar graph. Okay, so if you take a look at this bar graph here, you'll notice that on our x-axis, we have animals and a number of different animal names. On our y-axis, we have maximum speed in kilometers per hour. So we can write this relation again in a number of different ways. In this example, they've asked us to write it in a table form as well as an arrow diagram form. So if you take a look at the next page, you'll see that they've shown it in both forms. Now, when we copy down our information from the bar graph into a table, your x-axis values or your horizontal values are going to go on the left-hand side, and your y-axis values or your vertical values are going to go on the right-hand side of the table. Okay, so you would just copy those down as you would reading the diagram. The next one again shows an arrow diagram. So before we copy these down, again, you'll notice that we have to decide what is the relationship. So what's the relationship between the animals and the maximum speeds? Well, again, that association or that relation we could say is that they have a maximum speed of, and then we'll give the speeds in the next column. So again, in the arrow diagram, you'll notice that all of our animals are listed here, again, in alphabetical order. And then we've listed all of our speeds here in numerical order, and then drawn an arrow to show which animals are associated with which speeds. So again, there's another check down below where you have to use this graph, okay? And you're going to have to use this graph and represent it in two different ways. So again, as a table and as an arrow diagram. So I'm going to suggest that now you can stop the video here, try that check, and then complete the practice and check your answers on the next page. Stay tuned for the 5.2 lesson. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. Thank you very much.